This is not an updated Covenant guide. This is a Covenant build guide that is a lot shorter. Yeah, I'll help you in a second, Uwu, right after this. So this is about Covenant. Any questions regarding Covenant, just answer during this video recording. So this video holds up with substats every week, an hour long. And so does every other video I made on Covenants. The meta's still the same, pool for Key Flare. But I am going to fucking explain my Covenant builds and what to go for, crit rate, crit damage, and what stats to go for Covenants. Now let me go brief you on the history of Covenants and why this is the best Covenant. I'm going to read it again. This is the best Covenant set. It goes on every team because of Key Flare. A lot of people are fucking dumbasses. You have to go straight into Key Flare for this set. I'm going to do an example here. So, never build DPS sets starting off as a new player. So, when you're starting off as a new player, you start gunning. You start gunning for this set after you beat Chapter 7. You go and build all Key Flare because of this effect. Once you have this Key Flare good enough, this Covenant alone can carry you, let alone the wheels in Arc 2. Now, editors find welcome. Yeah, no more lurking. Yeah, sorry. So, this Covenant was dog shit. Arc 1. Believe it or not, Covenant metas changed between arcs. So, if you look at any older guide, that's not my guide. Even newer guides, which are dog shit and frankly wrong, there are different metas. This has only been meta in Arc 2 and in Arc 3. It might fall out of meta. Potentially, it might fall out of meta. Why? Because in Arc 2, you need Key Flare to rouse units. To rouse units to get this card. In Arc 1, you don't have to do that. So, back when the game didn't have Arc 2, no one uses this Covenant, dude. No one in their right mind used this Covenant back then. No one in history used this Covenant. But in Arc 2, since they made that change and made rousing a thing, and, you know, all the posture requirements, all that, this is now meta on every team. Now, in Arc 3, after G2, if they ever change how the game works, just like they did from Arc 1 to Arc 2 on how to acquire those cards, this Covenant could also be dog shit. This Covenant can also be dog shit. But right now, it is meta. It is the best wheel. Now let's go on a more prickly topic. Because this goes for Key Flare. I'll talk about Covenant stat rerolling. DPS Covenants. I'll go over every DPS Covenant and why it can also fall out of meta. You're listening to guys who don't play the game as much as I have. Haven't seen the metas of the game. People are always arguing crit rate versus crit damage. Crit rate versus crit damage. Crit rate versus crit damage. Everyone is wrong. Everyone is retarded. Why? It's up to the developers in the end, based on the new kits and what Arc 3 entails. Every guide, if you saw them from when the game released for the first Arc 1, no one rolled for crit rate. Crit rate was a dog shit garbage stat. One of the worst stats you can possibly get in the game. Complete bottom of the barrel dog shit. If you had crit rate on any of your DPS Covenants, people literally laughed at you. Why? Because in Arc 1, there were crit rate relics. Everyone got their crit rate from the shop. Because these items gave 50+% crit rate. 50+% crit rate. And some 15% crit damage. 40% crit rate on strikes. It was insane. And there was one relic, I'm trying to find it here, that gives you more crit rate. That gives you 100% crit rate on Twill for every card you played that turn. It's one of these relics. It's been a while, so I can't find it off the top of my head. So, Any team, you just think, here we go. Any team, you have 100% crit rate. You have 100% crit rate automatically. Automatically from the shop. So no one built crit rate. And in addition, back in Arc 1, D-Tide also uses these relics, not the new ones. So in the past D-Tide, you would just go in the shop and roll until you get your crit rate relic. This, usually, or the other one, and you win. That was the old meta. What happened in Arc 2? Why is everyone balls deep into crit rate now? Well, Arc 2, crit rate was stolen from us. None of these relics give crit rate now. None of these relics give crit rate. They stole it. So it was a great whale breaking. So if you look at the old Chinese forums back then, there were numerous threads cursing out the developers. And there was big controversy because all these whales built full crit damage covenant sets. Full crit damage covenant sets. Guess what? They have to reroll. Everyone had to reroll their sets to crit rate. Everyone's wallet broken. Will the developers do it again? Maybe. I can't tell you a yes or no answer. Maybe. Because in the train mode, old relics came back. Old relics in the train mode, where I'm on the leaderboards, the relic came back. So if you're trying to plan for the future in regards to crit rate, it's up to the devs. Because in the train mode, right here, my leaderboard run, crit rate relics are back. So, that is something you have to consider. Whether deciding between crit rate or crit damage. If the crit rate relics come back, guess what? Crit damage is going to be king again. Crit damage is going to be king again. So that's the crit rate versus crit damage debacle. But right now, in the current meta, people argue crit rate versus crit damage. What should I roll my covenants? I'm of the opinion, the MMO opinion. I'm an MMO gamer first. Now, how hardcore of an MMO gamer am I? Well, let me show you. I've been gaming MMOs for, holy shit, it's close to 30 years now. I've been playing MMOs for close to 30 fucking years. I'm very young. I'm very young. I have played fucking EverQuest 2. I have played Ultima. I have played MapleStory, WoW rating, SWTOR, all that shit. And I rated recent MMOs. I also rated, I'm young, shut the fuck up. So, I was also in top server first guilds. So these are my FF logs. I don't rate anymore. From back then, Flayers, Katsuragi. Guess what? Guess who was the top 5 monk in the world for Gordius and Midas tier in FF14? Then I took a break. Me. And you recognize Darwin, who streams with Xeno? Yeah, he was in our raid group. That's some old lore about Flayers. And obviously our tank was number 1 in the world for that Flayers fucking shit. So, I returned for Endwalker, and I did the ultimate raids. And these are my rankings here. And I have rankings from Wildstar. I didn't raid. I stopped raid playing. I did a week 1 run stuff. I raid every now and then. I don't have much time anymore. But you can find me, if Wildstar logs were still up, you can probably find Flayers. Yeah, I rated in a lot of MMOs. So, why do I bring up my rating credentials? Because the MMO rule of crit rate versus crit damage is only used in Genshin. And I respect that because the Genshin guys play MMOs. I don't know why this never took off in Morimens. It's the 1-to-2 golden ratio, motherfuckers. You guys ever played MMO? Star Wars? WoW? 1-to-2. 1% crit rate, every 2% crit damage. That's the rule I follow. And you can find slightly older articles on the crit damage golden ratio. And there was actually a report here on the optimal crit rate versus crit damage. And there's also this very old forum. Not that old because, okay, I'm very young. But if you happen to browse MMO Champion and find a post by someone named Flares back in 2007, 2008, or whatever, in all these guild sites like Engine, is Engine still a thing? Is Engine.com still a thing? I have no idea. But that is clearly not me. That is clearly not me. I'm young. I'm young. So that's the MMO ratio. And that's the rule I sort of ascribe to. So what do you roll? What you feel like. Because fact of the matter is, if you listen to anyone 100%, you're fucked in regards to crit rate versus crit damage, unless the comp auto crits. I believe in Jesus. Because I believe in Jesus because I don't believe in the crit values in this game. Why do I not believe in the crit values in this game, players? Because the developers fucked up crit rate for over a year on one wheel, and I have never trusted them since. I don't trust crit rate in this game. Okay? I do not trust crit rate on this game. No one should trust crit rate on this game. This has happened 2 or 3 times where crit rate was bugged and isn't the percentage it's shown. And they fix it in a bug patch. And they're like, sorry guys, but for the past year, you guys didn't actually have that crit rate. It was all placebo effect. Yeah, I'm not even joking. I'm trying to find the video. If someone in chat can find the video, link it. But I'm just scrolling for my videos, trying to find it. So, I have so many videos. It's very hard to find it. But it was with Sunfall. 20% crit. Never actually gave you 20% crit. It was unnoticed by the community for a year. Because crit rate is crit rate. You know, no one builds for 100%. If you hit, you hit. If you miss, you miss. We were like, oh, it's fine. And crit rate is very hard to test in this game. Very hard to test. So some autists in the Chinese community built to exactly 100% crit rate with the wheel. So it was 100% with the wheel, and they played the game enough. And you notice they missed a crit. And that's how it was fixed. That's how it was fixed. One autist went for all that and noticed a miscrit. Don't believe your lying eyes. Don't believe your dirty lying eyes about crit rate in this game. Granted, nothing... Okay, never mind. There was another crit rate bug that happened afterwards that they fixed. But for the past 6 months, nothing has changed regards to crit rate. There's no secret bugs. Everything is A-okay. Oh, I found it. I found the video. It takes me a while. It takes me a while. Sorry guys. Right here. This is my video. Huge bug fix. Lots of views. And you can see the reaction here. Yeah. Bug going completely unnoticed. For a year is funny as fuck. Let me scroll this over. Yeah. Sunfall from S to S. Yeah. And... let me just scroll to drama. Let me scroll to it so I can show you guys. It is so fucking bad. And Discord blew up. Everyone was like, oh, like, what the fuck? Every tier list had the Sunfall at S tier. And me missing my cap was due to bug. So this is why Daffodil keeps missing crits by having 80% crit rate. Yeah, everyone was fucking... Yeah, I use light mode. Deal with it. So yeah, don't believe your lying, dirty eyes with these developers regarding with crit rate. I don't believe in that shit. I believe in crit damage. I believe in crit damage more than I do crit rate. Because I play with low crit rate compared to most people. I play with very, very low crit rate compared to most people because I follow the MMO rule. And I simply do not believe. I simply no longer believe in the developers. I just believe in Jesus. I believe in my God. So my Gel, for example, has 29% crit rate. Yeah, I've been running Alert 5 with 29% base crit rate on my Gellet. On my Gellet. I run the lowest crit rate Gellet comp. Possibly out of anyone that does 425, and I have cleared Alert 5 forever with Gellet. Look at all the streams. I have always run 23 or whatever percent crit rate on Gellet. Because I get the crit rate from her cards. I believe that more than building crit rate on her Covenant. I don't believe that shit. I don't believe that shit at all. I don't believe that shit at all. Low crit rate Gellet. It works. It works. I put my hand in Jesus' wheel. Now let's go over Monchi. What does Monchi runs like a shit ton of crit rate? Because Monchi's the exact opposite. He's like, if it's not 100% crit rate, it's 0% crit rate. And I don't blame him. Because I watched him one time fight a boss with Gellet. He only had like a 90% crit rate. And he misses 3 crits in a row. He missed 3 crits in a row with 90% crit rate. So he believes that if it's not 100% crit rate, it's 0% crit rate. So, what camp are you on with crit rate? Regards to with your thing. It works with any religion. How strong is the faith between you and your God? Regards to crit rate versus crit damage. So, sorry this video is going on too long. I'm not even going to come and say. But that's regards to crit rate, crit damage in this game. Oh, also, I have to mention something else. You can cheat crit rate. So crit rate is actually less valuable in this game than other games. Now let me explain why. So, crits are seeded in this game. Meaning that if you replay a turn and play cards in a different order, you can change whether a card crits. So, second hit, no crit, crit. So it was crit, no crit, crit. So it was crit, no crit, 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 crit. See? So, theoretically, if you Doctor Strange a fight long enough with, like, minimum crit rate, then you should go all in on crit damage. This is, like, unlike MMOs when you're in a boss fight. In this game, you can just restart the entire fight. So, technically speaking, crit rate's a little bit worse, since you can just Doctor Strange the orders you play your cards in, if you're an insane person. Which some people do if you want to run low crit rate. So you can factor that in, whether to build crit rate or crit damage. Because unlike games like action games, this is just a turn-based game, and rewinds are free restart the battle. So if you map out your exact card played, you can always crit. You can always crit if you just map out on a spreadsheet every action you do. Will you do that? Will that factor into your decision on building the covenants? I have no idea, but I'm just pointing that out there. That you can manipulate the crits in this game. So, now let's go on to building the covenants. Now knowing all that. So, let's work on a covenant that I'm working on. That I can show you. So what covenant, DPS covenants, am I working on right now? Not a lot, to be fair. I'm done with all my covenants. But let's just pretend I'm not done. Let's just pretend I'm not done. Let's do this. Let's do this, parts. and Riker. Let me just do this. Equip parts. So crit damage, crit damage, crit damage. Yeah, I go all in, hard in the paint. So what do? I settle on DPS covenants. You should never ask crit rate versus crit damage. That's my philosophy. So what you do for DPS covenants, any DPS covenant, is you roll if it maxes out on crit rate or crit damage. You take it, you walk it, you roll next. So this is still working. So I then roll, because I can still work on this. You then roll on a DPS covenant. Unless it's a very specific DPS, but this is for April, a general use covenant. So you just roll. You close your eyes. I'm closing my eyes. Just spam click this. Just spam click this shit. Just spam click this shit. Don't do anything else. Just spam click this shit. Until it maxes out. Oh, it's crit rate. God gave me crit rate. That's what I do with my DPS covenants. Versus crit rate, crit damage. So, I'm placing my crit rate, crit damage on general use in the hands of God, in the hands of Jesus. Whatever you get maxed out, crit rate, crit damage, you settle for the first or second option. And for the third option of any covenant, you roll slowly, because it's expensive. It's expensive. Until you have a decent stat. Sigil yield, I'm fine. Even it's not a DPS, I go next, but this is a stream. You go fine, and you'll go on to the next piece. Any normal person will go on next piece, but again, I need a DPS. So, nope. Anything that's more than half, that's good. Key flare, we can use. There. That's what I do for the DPS covenants. It saves you a lot of resources if you learn to settle. The only covenant you don't settle on is the key flare. On the key flare covenants, very important one. You do not settle. This is your covenant that's going on every team. Y flares. You treat your DPS sets like abused pieces of shit. Like, let's say you're an Isekai harem protagonist. You're managing your harem. Let's say every covenant is a part of your harem. So, as an Isekai harem protagonist, you're going to take different girls with you on every outing to the dungeon. However, the very good waifu, the S-tier waifu in your harem, you're always going to take her with you. No matter what. No matter what. That is what the key for a covenant is. No matter what dungeon you go into, all these side bitches are just that. Every other covenant in the game, just treat as side pieces. So, every team, key flare, 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 key flare. That's every team. Every team. Some teams, I don't need to run this. Some teams, I don't need to run this. Every other covenant set is up for grabs, and DPS sets are even up to that, because every unit needs a different thing. The only covenant that's going to be with you till the end is the key flare. So you want to min-max this shit until Arc 3 if they change the meta. You want to min-max the key flare out of this. This is your main waifu. Don't abandon her. Invest in her. You're going to take her everywhere. So don't be retarded. Don't invest in DR. Don't invest in all this shit. Go straight for the key flare. What does that mean? You get 2 maxed out key flare. So look. Key flare, key flare. Key flare, key flare. Key flare, key flare. Key flare. Now this is just, I'll probably re-roll this. Key flare, key flare. You want to min-max this shit. Dump all of your shit into this covenant. It's everywhere. Every team comp. Now, every team comp, DPS sets, you should abuse. You should abuse DPS sets. Why is that the case, players? Besides, every DPS has a different best in slot DPS sets. If you're going to go Max Key Flare possible Covenant. I think it's like close to 70. I think it's like 70s. I need to do the math on that. I'm too lazy right now, but I'll look it up in a bit. So every DPS like this, she wants Dreams. The Worcine, he wants Heart for his Abyss. Caster, he wants a custom Steppenwolf. Next, this is just the G-Doll, Dreams. G Murphy has a special Dreams. Again, these are different dream sets. This is the Twill dream sets I made with her, and this is the G Murphy dream set. So yeah, every DPS, you're gonna run a different Covenant, because DPS sets in the game depends on the DPS. So if you're going all in on a DPS, you're a fucking retard. You're a fucking retard. I'm sorry. You're going all in on a DPS Covenant first, because when you're gonna make a new team, that Covenant set is gonna be garbage on whatever new DPS set it is. Those teams you should decide last after you finish with the waifu set. After you finish with the waifu set, you can then work on whatever DPS sets. So let's go over my other Covenant sets. So what have I built from 2 years of playing the game? So my build order, I built my Keyflare set first. I built my Alien set, because that's a universal set. Then I built my DPS Dreams for Twill. Then I built Steppenwolf. Then I built April and all the other DPS sets. And then I worked on the DR sets very end. You should not work on these sets until extreme late game. Even then, I don't recommend it. Why, Flayers? Because you want all of your resources to go into this Covenant set and the DPS sets first. And if you're a new player, you're not going to fight content hard enough for you to need to proc a DR. Since early story content are easy, it's easy as fuck. You're not going to fight Alert 5D Tide. You're not going to do like the G-Doll Alert 5D comp. You're going to do all those hard comps until very late into your gameplay life cycle. So these should be like the last Covenants you build. And these you should always abandon. Too niche. You should never build these Covenants. Like even the new Covenants, too niche. Because you need to use all of your resources to max out the DPS sets after. Now let me go on. How long does it take for any of those Covenants? Resources. Good question. So a rule of thumb I would do is each 90% takes roughly 1,200 pens for me. For me personally, every Covenant set generally takes 1,100 of these. Whether that's lucky or unlucky, I don't know. But in my experience, what I use to build every 90+% is generally 1,000 of those. 1,000 of those for each 90% you see here. But, yeah. So, I'm probably going to push higher eventually, maybe in this video. So, let me go over each set and what it's meant for. So, you can either copy it or build your own. So, let's go off this. Alien set. It's pretty obvious. This is for Alien. This is for my G-Doll if I'm using her with Twill. So, or for Tulu, for any Alienus Awakener. So, obviously, in Alienus set, you want to go on Alienus. Because even though it's low, some units scale off of Alienus, like Tulu. So, you want to go all in on that, and then Keyflare, Damage Amp, Sigil Yield. I settle. What does that mean, Flares, when I say settle? If I see a max Damage Amp, Keyflare, or Sigil, I just take it. I just take it for that option. So, Keyflare, Damage Amp, Alienus, yeah. If I see it max, I settle. Because I don't want to waste too much resources building this. You don't want to min-max too hard on this. You want to prioritize a certain stat. but you want to pick stats you're going to settle on. Because this is always going on a support. I can use all of these stats. So let's go over the next stat. Hand crit. Who do you use this covenant on? I use it on Riker to will before she gets streams. Well, this is a really good set. It's fallen out of meta, but if April didn't exist, if Heart didn't exist, this would be pretty good. But this is for Riker. So I want the crit rate, crit damage up like usual, and then I settle like a bitch. Settle like a bitch. Key Flare, I always build Key Flare. Key Flare is so good because Riker, Key Flare. Key Flare set. Heart. Where is this covenant used? Doracine. I built crit rate, crit damage, then I settle. Again, I want to maximize my resources. These are the triple DR sets. What do? All Key Flare. Because NDR. I get just enough DR. Again, you have to calculate. So let me show you what I mean by calculating real quick. When you're building DR, don't willy-nilly it all on DR. Don't be a fucking retard. So you need to see how much DR do you actually need on that team to get players you're comfortable with. So let me show you. This is my min-max calf set. So notice how I don't run a DR set here. Why do you do that, players? I do a mix set, the money wheel on Riker. This is my specialized covenant, where I take a half piece of Sweet Slug and a half piece of Feast. Why do I run this instead of a regular DR set? Because the half piece of Sweet Slug is a higher DR value than the half piece of this, Burial Grounds. And I don't need this effect here. I need the money on Riker. So I built just enough DR and Sigil. So you need to know what team you're going to use a covenant on. So that when I go into a stage, and when it's exploration stage, it has 81% DR, as you see here, which is enough. And this is actually 100% DR. How is it 100% DR, players? When you proc the first healing cap with Karen or the relics, which you will in a boss fight with this comp, this jumps up to 100% exactly on an exploration phase, which I always do with calf. So don't overinvest in DR. I see so many fucking idiots put too much into DR and they're not min-maxing it. They're not min-maxing it. So you gotta min-max how much you actually need for a comp. And that's what I did here. Just this regular DR wheel. Don't even need to build a set. So how many DR procs do you actually need? So let's go into my G-Doll team, for example. Where's my G-Doll team? With Faint. G-Doll. Well, actually, I'll just do this. I'll just do this leaderboard. Wave 3. Right here. Yeah. So 619%. Why is it 619%, Flares? Nice even number. First DR, 300, 150, 75, and then every Feint Exalt bumps it up. So that's what I mean by you have to be pretty autistic about it here. Which is what I am. And don't be a fucking dumbass in regards to building your covenant set. So let me go over my other sets I built. So this is a meme. I've never used this. Don't listen to this. Don't ever build this covenant. I built this for a meme. It's fucking dog shit. I had so much resources because all my covenants are done basically. So this is my calf one. I went all into crit damage, and then key flare for calf. Why do I have key flare on this for calf? Because on my mono calf comp, I always play her cards hundreds of times a turn. So she's generating that nice key flare amount, and it's a nice even amount at 26, and that generates just enough for Posse. The Roll Mastery Assist because it's maxed out. Don't think too deeply on this. These are the settle stats. The damage amp and the realm mastery are just the settle stats. But I was gunning for the crit rate, crit damage, and key flare, which I've achieved. This is a pretty good calf one I built here. Pretty good calf one because this key flare is very nice on a mono calf to generate enough key flare for her to posse because you always play her cards. So let's go over my next set. The April Prey set. So this, again, crit rate, crit damage, 35% already, so I don't need to build crit rate here. And this is just enough, and then I settle like a bitch. So I have 3 dream sets. So this one, Crit Med. This is my general use to will dream set. Enough key flare, enough damage amp, enough crit rate, enough crit damage for be a mix of all bags. This is my G Murphy set, which is specialized for G Murphy. I gun hard for crit rate because she does not need crit damage. And I gun hard for key flare. This is for G Murphy specifically. This is a new set I just made, Support Dreams. This set is for non-DPS who wants dreams. What does that mean? I went deep in the 3 stats that general use supports could need. Damage amp, key flare, realm mastery. If I hit it, I use it. Because I'm not building that many different sets. So, this is what this purpose is for. No crit rate, no crit damage. Just support set. Caster set. Specialized caster set. Why is my caster better than most casters? Especially CL Corrosion? Because I specialize my Steppenwolf set for caster by only rolling for crit damage and damage amp. Now, why does it have this much sigil yield? Because when I was rolling, it maxed it out. I'm like, I'm not spending more resources to roll on this. So I'm like, fine, I'll take it. I'll take it, RNGesus. It was the last stat. And I'm like, sure. Whatever. I will take it, Jesus. I follow the golden path, Jesus, of money. But crit damage, damage amp. What I wrote on caster. So, Steppenwolf. What is this set? My caucus set. My general use Steppenwolf set. Just plop it on whatever. It's not specialized. It can fit onto many things. Because I settle. It's too many resources to fucking gun-ho go balls deep. Do not go balls deep. I've been playing the game for 2 years. Think about it. I have not gone balls deep into these covenants. Why? Because as soon as you go balls deep, you are lost, my friend. You are lost. Never go balls deep into your side bitches. Ever. That's the moral of this video. Every other covenant set, all these sets are just your side pieces. This is the only main piece you need to focus on. All the rest, you sort of give them the attention they need to be usable. Then you move on to make your next DPS set. Because there's so many sets you need to build as a new player. It's so much resources that you cannot afford it. No one can afford this. It is so much money. I hoard resources. I'm a big hoarder. Look at my inventory. I don't even use these dupes. I don't even use these pens. You think it's because I whale? No. I have not rolled for covenants in 4 months. 4 or 5 months. I haven't touched these pens. I just let them stock up. I just letting these stock up. Because these are my units. Not all of them are Soul Forge 10 either. I just hoard fucking resources.